Everybody. So today I want to talk about our journey related to Flutter. So it was like January 2019 when our product team came to us with the idea of this next app, which represents the next essential anything as a service tool. So before this, we have an app which was developed in both iOS and Android, and we used like native development for developing those apps. But the problem was the specification of this next essential anything as a service application was it should be agile, and the services can be added rapidly. So for a native app, it was a bit difficult because the development cycle was taking a long time, and we need to fix bugs for both iOS and Android, and sometimes there are disparities between two teams, like the native Android team and native iOS team. So we thought we should do something different. We should do something differently. So before describing the journey, I want to describe this cycle. Actually, there is a famous book named A Hero with Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, where he describes the journey of every person with this pipeline. So at the beginning, there is a call to adventure action. When we feel the need to do something, we feel the urgency to do something. And then there is a threshold guardian, and then the journey begins. In our case, it was the specification that that we got was not suitable with our current development pipeline. And next, the steps are challenges and temptation, and then there are some mistakes, and there is death and rebirth, and then transformation. So you learn from your mistake, and you proceed with your next step. And at the end, you continue, you achieve your goal, and then the cycle repeats again. So this is kind of a never-ending journey. So as person, we always participate in different journeys. So this was our case. Now I can describe our journey. So as I said, there was some problems with our native application development. Because it was very hard to form teams of similar strength for both iOS and Android, and also the development time is different for iOS and Android, as you all may know. So these problems guided us to explore different solutions. And I want to mention this quote: the death rate for people who play is safe, and for those who live boldly is safe. So actually we try to not follow the safe path, and we try to follow we try to adopt a cross-platform tool. As we all know, who have the experiences of cross-platform app development, it is not always suitable for large-scale front-end application, as it has some performance issues, as it causes a lot of problems when you try to serve a lot of users, and we try to form some custom and complicated UIs. So those are the challenges. But we were ready to test that whether Flutter was suitable for those challenges. So when we took we chose Flutter, there were some reasons behind that. First of all, I want to start with their tagline: develop native apps in record time. So there are two promises with this quotation, that they are promising to give you native-like performances, and they are promising that the app development time will be faster. And why is that? Because when you use other cross-platform tools the React Native or Ionic or so, there are some issues, because when you write code in one language and then it communicates with the native controls, controls for Android and controls for iOS, and this conversion is not similar for both the operating systems. So it sometimes causes performance losses. What Flutter does is it has a native renderer which is built on the Skia rendering engine. So when you write code in Flutter, it just renders it separately. Do not use it does not use the native controls of iOS and Android. So you can feel safe that the rendering process will be same for both iOS and Android. So that was their key selling point. And on top of that, there are a lot of like the plugin architecture was like easier to adopt, I'd say. So we can easily develop plugins which can talk to the native code when necessary. So those are 2 points. And before starting the development, we have to take some architectural decisions, like what architecture should we use for the application. In this case, we like followed block pattern because it is very easy to adopt, and I think any programmer have like 1 or 2 years of experience can easily adopt this pattern, and also it enables us to handle application state management quite easy. So we adopted block pattern, and later we tried. Basically, block is like business object component, so all the business logics are in that place. So whenever you try to adopt or whenever you want to adopt any sophisticated architecture like clean architecture or so, you can just refactor that module and adopt any different architecture. So we started with the simpler one. Next, in our journey, there was the role of like helper, mentor, or team culture. So here we got a lot of mentors or guidelines. We have a meeting with a Chinese team Alibaba, and they have delivered application with Flutter that serves almost like 50 million MAU. So that inspired us, and they also guided us in our development process. And also we have a continuous meeting with Google Flutter team, and they guided us throughout for the UX and UI. So that was a plus for us. And as an employee of bKash, we got like inspiration from our management that you go crazy, you can break things, and if we cannot be successful, we are okay with that. So that was a like great help and inspiration for us. Apart from that, we were concerned about 2 things. As you know, for any front-end application, the asset pipeline is very much important, because if it is very tough to design and implement complex UIs, probably that is not a good framework for front-end development nowadays. In our case, Flare helped us in this regard, because with Flare we were able to achieve complex animation without much development effort. And there was another benefit, that is previously we used GIF based animation, which was like 2 or 3 MB in size, and with Flare we achieved to do the same thing with like 150 kilobyte or 200 kilobyte or so. So that was a great improvement. And also for the continuous build and delivery process, we used CodeMagic, which helped us to do the build automation for Flutter in both iOS and Android. So those were our helping tools, or those were our mentors, which helped us to move in our way, which helps us to build this application. Now, as we all know, in each journey there are some problems, there are some issues, there are some obstacles. No journey which is totally smooth is not an exciting journey. And we do not like to watch thriller movies which has no problems or issues at all. So for our cases, we also faced a lot of complex issues. For example, Flutter has a web view plugin which enables us to embed web apps in Flutter. So for our case, what we found that the web view plugin is not mature enough to satisfy our requirements. For example, it was not able to handle different type of user inputs. So we tried to fork their plugin repository, as it was open source, and We fixed those issues, but what we have found that it was not compatible for all the versions of Android and iOS. So it was a problem for us. And then what we found that there is a third-party solution. There is a third-party plugin for web view implementation, unofficial plugin. We also tried that, but it was not up to the mark as well. So we had to take one tough decision. We had started writing our own web view plugin using native codes in iOS and Android. It was not an easy task because we have a lot of security requirements as well. But finally, we were able to do that, and I'm happy to tell you that currently a lot of web apps are hosted into the bKash app, which is using this plugin. So that was a problem, and also we have to work with some other native plugins. We have to build some of the plugins which were like not that straightforward. So those are the painful points for our case. So after all this, we have like achieved our goal, and we were able to release our app in production. But before doing that, we also have to do some performance optimization for complex list rendering and memory management related things. So those took some hardship as well. But as we have seen in the first slide, the journey is not completed yet. We have some challenging problems ahead. Flutter offers us some benefits and some functionalities that we have not explored yet. Those are our next adventure points that I want to share. First of all, we want to explore Flutter for web, so that we can write code in Dart and we can compile it for web, and we can use the same code base for like web application development and mobile application development. So that is one point that we want to explore. And there is another thing that is like more challenging than that we have not explored yet. That is adopt micro front-end architecture for Flutter. The main concept here is in backend or in middleware, most of us nowadays use like microservices, but in front end it is a kind of monolith. So what we are trying to do is we want to decouple our front end application into independent micro front end, so that and we can integrate it as packages, so that any third-party developer can develop a module and can integrate that in bKash, or any small team can independently develop one module and can integrate it with the current app. So here are like two problems. First of all, you need to plan a lot of things to decouple the dependencies and take advantage of the existing module. And also, Flutter currently does not support like hot swapping, so you cannot add a module or you cannot integrate a service at runtime. But what we are planning is we want to develop a single feature, for example, a search feature or like a send money feature into one module or one micro frontend, and we want to import that feature while compiling our app. By doing this, we want to decouple the dependencies, and we want to build a vertically independent front-end application which just communicates with that specific microservices. So that is a long way, and we have to do a lot of things for that. We have not completed this journey. I think for completing this type of challenges, or for achieving this type of challenges, we need to work together. So at last, I want to conclude with a quote of Henry Ford, which is my favorite. Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. So I think if we work together and share our knowledge, we can achieve a tremendous thing with Flutter and Dart later on. Thank you. If you have like any questions regarding that, you can ask me.
So, speech is done. Raise your hand if you have questions. Thank you.
So my question was regarding the lower level staff. For example, if you are trying to integrate, say, WebRTC or that kind of stuff, what would you recommend? Is it good to do it in Flutter, or is it best to create a native component and then call it from Flutter?
Actually, we have not experimented with WebRTC related protocol in Flutter or such type of thing, but what we have seen that for like the services which require streaming or piping native related data to Flutter app, in that case, developing native component is like efficient. For example, in our case, for QR scanning, we developed our QR solution in native plugin and then piped those data into Flutter layer.
Using the Skia library for both Android and iOS, is that right?
Yes.
So when you actually deploy a cross-platform app on iOS, using that rendering layer, is it seamless with the rest of iOS designs? Because if you don't use iOS's built-in rendering controls, like, does it look like an iPhone app or does it look like something completely different?
Okay, so different question, because it is like more like an aesthetical questions. So Flutter has two type of widgets, which are like Cupertino widget and Material widget. So if you use Material widget, it will look like native Android app, and if you use Cupertino widget, it will look like native iOS app. And both of them are rendered by Skia engine.
So in that case, what do you guys use? Do you guys use one for Android, one for iOS, or how does that work?
No, actually we have followed the material design guideline, and we have used the material design for both iOS and Android.
Does Apple Store approval policy have any, does it have any ramifications with the approval policy?
No, I don't think so, because we have not faced that type of issue yet.
Thank you.
These issues because your payment methods can like skip lot of standard that App Store provides, but if you don't follow like exact Kubernetes stack, in some cases, not all the cases, you will get rejected from the App Store actually.
Okay.
Okay, our company, I work in Dingy Technologies. It get rejected in our app like Dingy.
But the thing is, the problem is not technical, because you can always design iOS-like component using Skia engine. So
Yes, yes.
it is just development effort.
Yeah.